All right, we are live. This is Mod Hotep, producer, songwriter. Today we have Brad Chapman working with a singer that I've enjoyed working with, and I give him a hard time all the time, treat him like family. His name is LoverBoii. It's R&B. I'm gonna ask Brad to run him through the paces, whatever that means. Brad's free to do whatever he wants. I'm out to learn what to do to get singers what to do to get that performance out of singers. And so we're doing these hangouts. That's one of the main things I'm trying to get out of these hangouts, is to learn how to take somebody like LB, LoverBoii, and work with him to get the best performance out, so that we mixers don't have to try to create a performance in the mix. We can sit back and it's just there, moving us. So, LoverBoii, come here, have a seat. Just gonna throw you in the fire. They haven't met, so introduce yourself.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm LoverBoii LB.
Hey, man.
How you doing, man?
All right, I'm Brad Chapman.
It's nice to meet you.
All right. Not into guys, though, so not into the LoverBoii thing.
Okay.
But I'm glad the chicks are, man, because they need LoverBoys.
Yeah.
All right. So, want to mention real quick, Mott always puts singer, songwriter, or vocal producers, songwriter. He always adds that to our introduction to our hangouts online.
Okay.
And we don't get nowhere without songwriters, man. None of us. We're all dead in the water. And
right.
So I just want to give a big. If my thumb was bigger, I'd make it bigger. To songwriters, because whether it's you, LoverBoii, or whether you're doing other people's stuff, whatever, we got to have those songwriters.
Right.
Because otherwise we haven't got anything to say.
Right.
And what Mott brings up there about getting the most out of a singer is something a lot of singers don't know, that producers feel that that's their job.
Right.
And they just walk in and say, okay, record me. And that sounds easy, but the more you guys can communicate at a level where you really are in sync.
Right.
You, the singer, and Mott, the producer, the more magic. I like, because other things get thrown around, other ideas. I just like to say the artistic X factor. In other words, it's that thing that most people don't know how to get their hands around. They don't understand how it happens, but it's a very real thing, and it is created by environments and situations. So in that respect, it's not magic. It is everybody getting into the right mode at the right time. Well, just like anything else, how do you get there without just 100% pure luck? You prepare for it.
Right.
You build a relationship. And I know a lot of producers, the ones that have got more clients than they can handle, they only take the ones they feel they can communicate with.
Right. Right.
The ones they feel like they don't understand what's going on, they're going to pass. So whatever singers are listening to these, very, very important that you all are listening, because producers are going to be joining us as we come along. It's one of the things I think is so great about Mott's Hangouts is it's not just my opinion. We bring in other producers, and they throw out their problems and they throw out their suggestions, and
right.
We can change the world. It sounds overstated, but we can change the recording industry, because when everybody goes in prepared, everybody's like, this never happens.
Right.
We love this. And somebody, I don't remember the name, but somebody texted me like they were bragging. Well, you know, I do all my pre-this and pre-this and pre-that, you know, in other words, they do everything themselves. And I think if you all will get out of your egos and take a look at the history of most great records, there is very, 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 very few, if any. Prince claims to be one. But I would challenge it if I was in his circle.
Right.
I'll bet you, I could tell you there's a lot of times when he's not doing things that are getting done.
Huh.
That are helping him produce stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I may be wrong, and, you know, hopefully he'll come on and tell me to shove it. But but the point is, if you look at the history of most great recordings, it's a team. And that team is sometimes the band, sometimes it's a production team, sometimes it's a production house.
Right.
You know, like with Rihanna, they've got like 3 or 4 artists that work, that they're coming out of that building. I can't remember the name of it, but Rihanna, you know, anyways, what you might call kind of manufactured pop, where they've got one guy writing and one guy arranging and another guy coaching and another guy just doing the vocals and another guy just working with the bands, and you know, and that's great. If you got a budget like that, that's
right.
That's great. The artists tend to work a little bit more on their own, but that doesn't mean that they can't open themselves up to listening to the producer and working with people ahead of time. And
It's just been pretty much open-minded. Yeah.
Yeah, just get, you know, because what's the biggest, you know, I'll answer this question. It's what's the biggest frustration singers have when they record? They listen back and they hate what they listen to.
Right. Yeah.
So that probably makes us the worst vocal producers in the world.
Right. Right.
You know, it's like, okay, I hate this. Now what am I going to do with it?
Huh.
What you need is a producer who loves it.
Right.
And then he can, like, or a mixer.
Hmm.
You know, as Mott mentioned the word mixer, you know, if he loves it, then it becomes a work of love for him. And he's going to do a much more artistic job, and there's going to be a lot more emotional X factor. That's the term I was trying to reach. Emotional X factor. So that's mostly what we're here about. So LB, what would you say is you know, don't think in terms of problems necessarily with me. Think in terms of, you know, what do you want to do to raise your game?
Really, I want to. I believe personally that I have a certain area of notes that I can really control real good and tweak or whatnot. But I want to try to learn how to get out of that area of notes and get into some different area of notes. Like basically, you know how everybody have, like pretty much everybody that I hear, they have a signature sound.
Yeah.
And you can always identify that, like you can always identify them through that signature sound. So that's kind of what I'm trying to work on right now is my signature sound. So I'm trying to get out of a certain area of notes into another area of notes and to try to find myself really as far as my vocal capability.
Cool. So do you write your own music mostly?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you say notes, we're going to get real, not clinical, but specific here.
Right.
When you think of notes, what are you using those notes for?
When I think of notes, what am I using notes for? When I think of notes, I just think of a melody and rhythm. That's what comes to mind when I think of notes. And okay. I just sing it and I place it. And sometimes I even try to get myself out of certain scales, like certain riffs. So certain riffs that I do, I'm starting to hear like is kind of still in the same area. So I'm just looking for that change. But as far as what I hear what I think about when I hear notes, It's it's just a melody to me. It's music. I can hear it.
Okay, so what do you want those melodies and rhythms to do for you?
Well, I would like them to work as unison.
With what? That's a good answer.
I mean, with the whole song as one, like as far as like, cause Mott been showing me some things like as far as making like an atmosphere, like making some somewhat atmosphere in the background of your main vocals. So yeah, I've been pretty much working on that, trying to get that to work together, but it's coming together real good.
Cool. So you want, without putting words in your mouth, you want notes and rhythms to express your emotions.
Right.
Okay. Now that's just where I want to get, because unfortunately, this is something that's not talked about.
Right.
When I was very successful in the 80s as a voice teacher, almost hate to use that term, it was all about the notes, never about the emotion. And I learned, you know, and you know, being I won't say I'm an old R&B guy, because you got to live that life. You know, I can, you know, I can say, oh yeah, I could sing some rhythm and blues, but no, I didn't live that life. I really was learned singing with white singers like the Beatles and the Animals and the Monkees, and you know,
the Beatles
like that. You know, and they were getting it all from you guys. You know, so I'm just, you know, copies of copies of copies. But then eventually in the 70s, I did start copping riffs off of more, you know, real rhythm and blues people like Stevie Wonder and Earth, Wind and Fire and Ohio Players, stuff like that. But I still wouldn't call myself authentic, because I didn't live the life.
Right.
Didn't grow up with it like you guys did. But so I can use those things, but I can't really be authentic in them.
Right.
But I'm sorry, I'm a little bit lost on where I was talking about.
The emotion.
Yeah. So then I was just trying to figure out how to hit the notes at those days. It's like, okay, well, Steve, you want to hit this note and I can't, so you know, I got to figure out how to hit the notes. And sometimes that is the issue, you know, like, well, you got this idea in your mind, you got this feeling you want to express,
right?
But you can't hit the note. So, or when you do hit the note, even though your emotion's there, the sound is so distracting that the audience can't hear the emotion. And then that's when, like, the producers get frustrated and say, okay, I can feel this, but what am I going to do with it? You know, now how am I going to make it so people want to hear it on this recording? So anyway, over the years, I got back to, you know, after learning technical stuff so that I could figure out how to get my voice to hit notes and stuff like that. Then I went back to the emotional side, and most great record producers will tell you that if you hit a really, really high note, or if you do a really, really wild riff, you know, like Stevie Wonder was like so good at those in the 70s. Not saying he isn't now, but I mean, that's when he was like really, really out there doing a lot, and we were hearing a lot of him.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of riffs. The thing that was always there that a lot of people didn't realize was the emotion was always in the riff. It wasn't just the riff.
Right.
And so most great producers, and I know this is one of the things that Mott wants to get more and more sensitive to, is that instead of going, wow, what a great riff, he wants to say, wow, I really felt that, or wow, I really didn't.
Right.
So the riff and the note and the rhythm have no value if there isn't an emotion powering that riff and that note. And so I started to realize, well, high notes are really worthless without the emotion. And so I got more practical in a sense, and went back to being an artist and saying, well, you know, when I'm listening to my clients, if I don't feel anything, I realize they're not going anywhere. I don't care how excited we all are that they can hit that note.
Right.
So for you, what we'll do is we'll take a look at some of those spots where you would like to use some new notes and some new riffs.
Right.
See if there's some technical blockage to get rid of the blockage.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to do. Get rid of the block.
Get your brain. And then from there, it's like you know, every artist goes through this every time they learn a new song, whether they realize it or not, or write a new song. For the very first part of what we do, whether we like it or not, tends to be kind of intellectual. You know, we gotta write notes, we gotta write rhythms, we gotta write chords, and then we gotta memorize them.
Right. Because
without memory, we can't sing them.
Right.
You know, it's like what did I sing yesterday? I don't know. how can you perform? You know, if you haven't memorized them. So let's put all that under technical category. You know, if you're an instrumentalist singing, you got to have the chord changes down, the guitar, whatever, the words, all that stuff's got to be 100% muscle memory. But at the same time, all of those reasons for those technical achievements should be because they're going to bring an emotional out.
Right.
Then at that point, JB, you can put 100% of your mental power into your emotion, and then the audience will get it. I guarantee it.
All right.
Whether it's the most simplest line you've ever written, or it's the most comfortable note you've ever written, or it's the highest note you've ever written, or if it's the wildest riff you've ever written, or if it's the most crazy syncopation you've ever come up with, if the emotion's there and there's no blockage, in other words, if musically it's really happening, then they're going to get it.
Right.
But if all they have is the notes and the rhythm, they're not going to get it.
Right.
So what do you do to get your voice ready for performing or singing?
To be honest, I isolate myself away from everybody, and I might go, like, if it's a patio or something, I just isolate myself away from everybody, and I just practice the song. I just sing it. I try to drink some tea or whatnot, like some tea with a little bit of honey in it. I try to get that right before I go, or something warm or something.
Okay. Do you ever exercise, like do anything cardio, like run or take a walk, anything like that?
I used to do that, and it used to be okay, like sometimes, but I noticed that I would be like jittery. I would be jittery afterwards, so I kind of stopped doing it. So I just kind of wear myself out with the singing a cappella first to warm up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it's not. We don't want to wear you out necessarily, but yeah, if your heart rate gets too high, yeah, you can get a little jittery.
Yeah.
A little scientific note for all of you singers and producers to understand how singers work that's different than most instruments is that warm-up literally means that the instrument we're starting off with is cold. And the vocal cords if you look at them, they're white. And so what does that mean to the human eye? It means there's not a lot of blood flow through them. That's what the scientists tell us.
I never knew
that. In order for them to want to vibrate like a brand new guitar string, they need to have good, warm, hot blood flowing through them.
Wow.
And then, so like, if you ever notice when you're not warmed up and you go for a high note, it's just forget it, it won't come up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why warm-up is so critical, because you don't want to feel like, oh, okay, I'm halfway through the song and here comes the note that I know that I'm not going to make because I didn't warm up. You don't want that happening, because then your emotional attention is totally drawn. It's gone.
Right.
It's gone away. All now you're pure technical. Even if you're not trying to be technical, your brain just goes there. It's like, oh shit, I didn't warm up. How am I going to do this?
Right.
So let me give you just 2 or 3 really, really simple things that you can do that are more efficient than singing your song.
Okay.
Because they take you through parts of your voice that your song won't take you through, that actually massage your vocal cords and bring blood into them.
Oh.
And your song will do some of that, and and all singers have some success with that. This is the most, your answer is the most common one I get from singers. But the ones that change over to doing this are all much happier because they are a lot more confident that when they hit the stage or when they hit the vocal booth, that things are going to go their way. So have you ever done this with your lips? Have you ever seen this?
Yeah.
Do that. Put your fingers right there up in your cheeks.
Right here?
Kind of on your jaw. Yeah, right in there. Good. Yeah, I know. It's all silly ass stuff, man. We all laugh our asses off. So.
That really worked.
Yeah, it does. Don't be embarrassed because we all laugh our asses off. So now what we're gonna do with that sound is just simply called soaring, and it's very soft. Warm up is the two words you want to put together. When you say warm up, you also mean soft. If you say warm up and hard, warm up is gone now. Now you're wearing out.
Right.
Warm up has got to be soft or it's no longer warm up.
Right.
You just come bashing in on those chords, and instead of getting loose and flexible and getting the blood through them, what's going to happen is they're just going to swell up, tighten up, and the blood flow is going to actually slow down, and they're not going to want to do what you want them to do.
Wow. Yeah, so it's almost like playing a basketball game before stretching.
It's very similar. We are athletes in the respect as that we are using our human body to do, if you will, acrobatic functions.
Yeah.
You know, we're not asking it just to sit there and do nothing. We're asking it to change length. We're asking it to vibrate fast and slow. We're asking it to move, to change pitch fast and slow. We're asking it to respond to rhythms. We're asking it to hit glottal attacks. You know, we're asking it to do all these kinds of finesseful things that we all know if those of us who've sung long enough, and this is why I love working with most artists, is because they have had these experiences. They've already learned that if they're not ready, it just doesn't work.
Right.
So what I want to do first, JB, is bring up your level of readiness. Okay. So you're going to take the lip roll and in a very soft color say,
Let me try that. Hold on. Let me try this one more time.
Good. Now you should do that 5 times in a row. Exact same thing. So that was number 1.
Hey, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Hey.
One more.
That worked.
You just hired your own personal vocal masseuse.
Hey, it did though, cause oh wow.
He's there every time you want him, man.
He's there for you. Yeah, I could use that.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about athletes, you know.
Yeah, I felt that. I didn't think I was gonna feel the difference. I felt the difference.
Cool. And by the way, all of you watching, if you are singers and you think we all look like idiots right now, maybe we should be in the nut house, try it yourself, because the only way you can make sense out of this exercise is to feel it. I mean, I could explain it to you technologically and sound like old Mr. Scientist, but it still wouldn't make any sense to you. You've got to do it yourself or you won't get it. It won't make any sense to you. Now, by chance, can you with your tongue? Good. Now, this is the next level of massage. This is a little deeper massage. And you're going to say, good. 5 times, that's 1.
Hey.
Good, good. Now, it's Halloween yesterday, so we've all been listening to. Right? We all been listening to ghost songs, and if it's a woman, it's right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do both. We're gonna do a ghost siren and say.
Huh. Ooh, hey, how you do that? Hold on, I gotta focus on this one.
Yeah, first of all, be the character. That's the quickest way. Your vocal cords are amazing at being able to interpret what the character is that it's hearing in your head. And so just most of all, be the ghost. Let's start this way. To make the low voice ghost. Just be a low guy.
All right, let me do it. Let me see.
There it is. That's it. Now do that 5 times.
Ooh.
Excellent. Again.
Ooh. 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 Oh, hey, that does massage your throat. It's crazy how I'm feeling this massage.
Yeah.
It's crazy how I'm feeling this working.
And when we're doing this sound particularly, the vocal cords are doing all their own massaging. The lip rolls and the tongue rolls do more massaging, but in this one, the vocal cords are doing it strictly by themselves. So we're moving in a level from coldest to a little warmer to a little warmer to a little warmer until we're ready to sing our hearts out. Now, this is all, you know, in a regular in normal sessions with people I work with, where we have more time and all that, and they're coming in, you know, a couple times a week or once a week or whatever. Then we do these musically, and we make a lot more out of it, you know, so that the growth pattern is far faster than this. But let's just say you and I never worked together for whatever reason. These are really cool things that you can do, that I've heard that you can do them right, and so I'm comfortable saying, okay, JB can handle that. I would not give you a CD and say, without hearing you do them, and say, JB, do these, because if you did them all wrong, you'd be mad at me, and you'd be mad at the CD, or you'd think you did them all right, and everybody else around you'd be going, what the hell happened to JB? You know?
Yeah.
Those things don't work, man. Those CDs and videos, they just don't work. So for everybody who's listening, if you're doing these, if you think, well, I could just do these exercises without anybody ever hearing me do them, you're making a mistake. You could be doing this. You could be doing and think you're doing it right, and that would actually hurt your voice. So be careful with what you learn from these hangouts. Now, this is another one where we do more of the stretching. So up to this point, we can say we've been doing massaging. Now, like you were saying about an athlete stretching, this one's more like that. Imitate a squeaky door. Go back to, it just happens to be an appropriate weekend, Halloween weekend. Go back and say, right on. Do 5 of those.
I hear it. It's making all that.
2 more. You're doing good. What we're trying to do today. That's good. 1 more. Okay, good. So now we've massaged, we've stretched. Now, at this point, we're just going to go ahead right into what is really pertinent to the producers here, and work on your actual singing.
Okay.
So, show me something you really, sing something you really feel connected to first before we go on to those areas that you want to improve on. Let me get a sense of you.
Okay. A song that
If you got some tracks, sing along with them. If you don't, you can do an acapella, then that's cool.
Yeah, I'll sing acapella.
Okay.
Love, so many things I got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how. 'Cause there's a possibility that you look at me different with love. Ever since the first moment I spoke your name, then on I knew that by you standing in my life is far destined to change. 'Cause love, so many people use your name in vain. Love, those who have faith in you sometimes go astray. Love, through all the ups and downs, the joy it hurts. I don't remember. That's all I remember of that song.
No, that's cool, man. That's all right. Because, and just to remind the producers that are listening, these are pre-production sessions. These are what pre-production sessions are like. So this is not an actual tracking session. So, in an actual tracking session, I'm kind of a believer in having you sing the whole song maybe 5 or 6 times, and then if there's, if we can't get the best out of you from there, then maybe have you do some punch-ins. But for rehearsal, we're actually going to break things down a little bit. One of the things I've noticed that even the greatest singers that we all love out there, when I start asking these questions, they really haven't thought about them, and when they start thinking about them, they start performing at a much deeper, emotional, and more successful level. In other words, all the musicians and their audiences start noticing, like, the next show.
Right.
It doesn't take a lot of work, a lot of practice. Not to say that some things won't, but what we're going to work on right now doesn't usually. So, tell me, in your own words, what that song is about.
It's about how you're basically in love with this person. You want to tell this person, but it's actually like the situation is pretty difficult because, like, it's people that don't want y'all in this relationship and everything, and they don't want to see you guys together. So that's pretty much what that is about. It's like, keep faith, and like, people are gonna like be against this and everything, but we can keep going through it.
Okay, so you're talking to the lover, your lover,
yeah,
who you feel maybe other people are trying to attack your relationship.
Right. It's just saying how strong we are. It's just basically describing how strong we are, like, whether, like, despite like what people have to say and everything.
All right, cool. So if you're really deeply in love with this person, then that's like super and personal to you.
Right.
Okay, so tell me just talk the first phrase.
It says, love, there's so many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how. 'Cause there's a possibility that you'll look at me different with love.
Okay, so love, that's her. And then after you say this, you're worried that she's going to have a different opinion of you about love?
Yeah, like, he's afraid to tell her, like these things, because she might look at him different.
Okay, so that's important. This is an important distinction here. Is it you singing to the lover, or are you telling a story about two lovers?
Yeah, he's actually singing to the lover.
No, you.
Oh, yeah, me.
Yeah, you LB.
Yeah.
Are you singing to the lover, or are you singing about two lovers?
Nah, I'm singing to the lover.
Okay, the difference, the reason, this is a very, very important difference, because if it's you, it's not a story, it's a real-time communication.
Right.
If it's about somebody else, then you're telling a story about other people. And
Right.
it's still real-time communication, because it's otherwise, you're telling the story because it's important to you. You want to tell the story, and you want us to experience this story and feel this story.
Right.
But there's still a difference in the way those two things feel, and so it's real important in your own mind that you're clear on what it is. Okay, now sing that same line for me, please.
Love, it's so many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how.
Okay, so let's stop there now. You say love. What are you feeling there?
I hear this. I feel like I feel like I'm there. Like when I sing it, everything is like blacked out. I only see exactly what I'm singing and what I feel and what I'm feeling. So it's like when I hear love, I see the woman.
Okay, all right, cool. Now, if we were in actual production, I might say, depends on the producer, that even though I feel the emotion there, I don't sense that you're talking to somebody yet. I'm trying to figure out. I think we need to try to take a second, figure out how to make that happen. I don't know if it's in the melody. Obviously, you gave him the right answer, so obviously you're there. So it must be something in the phrasing. So how about? And I'm not a stage coach or a acting coach or an arranger who's going to tell you how to sing things.
Right.
I'm here to help you find the strongest way for you to communicate to the rest of us. So, love, about something where you're really kind of, she's right there and you want to make sure that you grabbed her attention.
Okay. So should I? Okay. So basically,
try it your way. See, we're songwriting. We're not, I'm not giving you things to sing. I'm giving you ideas and giving you feedback so that you can come up with your best way of telling that girl, I'm singing to you right now, girl.
Okay. Love.
Yeah.
So many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how.
That's better.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Do that again. Do that again.
Love.
Yeah.
So many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how.
How does that feel different?
Yeah, that's crazy.
How does it feel different? You need to memorize this. That's the reason I'm asking you.
Yeah, that I feel it. I feel it more. I feel it. That's crazy. And then
so if anybody ever says to you, besides me, LB, what are you trying to tell me there? You'll know exactly where to go.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's why I want you to think about it.
Thanks, I appreciate
because
that.
it's going to happen. Your mind's going to wander. Something pissed you off that day, or whatever. And you're going to come in love, and it's going to be really cool. It's going to sound great, but it's not going to be to her.
Because the emotion is not there.
Well, you just weren't as attached.
Right.
Your intent. There's a great word for this. Intent is a great word for this, because when we're listening, we're like sponges. We're just sitting there, and things are just going to start flowing into our brains. and we don't know what it's going to be. We hope we enjoy it, especially if we paid for it. But we don't know. So if your intent is to talk to us right away, right off the bat, then we're with you immediately. We feel really, really good. But if your intent is not really there, or it's 75% there, or 25% there, whatever, then you haven't connected to your max.
Right.
And connecting to your max is what I think you'll find every great producer will tell you is, if you're worried about record sales, that's how you're going to get record sales. If you're worried about a fan base, that's how you're going to get a fan base. If you're worried about every concert feeling like you really connected to that audience and you really succeeded as an artist, that's how you're going to get it. First thing you have to have is that intent. And if you have to, if this song becomes a big hit, you might be singing it 2 or 3 times a day for a year.
Yeah. I used to do that to certain songs.
And so you got to bring that intent every time. And luckily, there's usually a different audience. So, you can, you're, even though it's the same lover, maybe, I don't know, that could change too, but even though it's the same lover, it's new people that you're that you're with, and that keeps us from getting boring.
Right.
Okay, great, excellent. So start from that spot again and keep going a little farther, and I'll find the next section I wanna kind of think about.
Okay. Love. So many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how. 'Cause there's a possibility that you look at me different with love.
Okay, so when you possibility different with love, what are you really saying there? There's a possibility that she's going to feel differently.
'Cause you're saying that it's so many things that you want to tell her, but it's but there's a possibility of what I say she might look at me possibly different with love.
And that's the part you're afraid of, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me feel some fear from you. But you feel some fear on that word love.
All right.
I hear it on afraid. It's great on afraid. It's excellent there.
Thank you. That's tight. From the beginning? From the top?
Yeah. Well, if you need to.
Love is so many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how. 'Cause there's a possibility that you look at me different with love.
Okay, that's still not scary. Is it kind of like the first time you say love? Love. It's really cool. The lick is great. It's musically, it's beautiful. Trying to think, how would that you might think about me differently with love. Can you feel some tension there, some worry, some fear?
'Cause there's a possibility that you may look at me different with love.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
Yeah. Man.
See, these, LB, these are your natural inflections. They're not mine. And the way that I've seen.
Hey, Brad.
Huh?
You see this?
No, I can't. Your signals. Oh, you got a knife in his neck.
Yeah, tell him sing it now. You want fear?
When Mott does that, I know 100% that he gets what I'm saying. But I tell you, I would never do that.
Oh man,
he's so good, man. All right, cool. So now let's take one of those lines that you've been thinking about, where you'd like a note that you don't have. or rhythm that you don't have to get you that expression. In other words, now we're going back to where you originally, the first answer that you gave me was, I'd like to have a couple of more notes or a couple of more rhythms to express myself.
Yeah. Okay, so would I sing it like kind of my way? Or?
Yeah, always your way. Yeah, always your way.
All right. Love, so many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid I don't know how. 'Cause there's a possibility that you look at me different with love. Ever since the first moment I spoke your name, from then on I knew that by you waiting in my life seems so destined to change. 'Cause
Okay, so is that the one that's bothering you? Change?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I always bother me.
All right. So you got to get the bother out because you can't feel the emotion as long as you're bothered.
Right.
You can be hot and bothered, but you can't be technically bothered. That won't work.
Right.
So a real quick minor solution to this right off is the way the human voice works, without getting into a lecture, is that the pressure that is coming from the windpipe up through the mouth is increasing as you go to higher notes. There's more pressure. You can actually see it on a dB meter, and or sound pressure level meter. And even when it's done right, you can see it. Or wrong, you can see that it's not quite as good. So the higher notes need our mouths to open more, to let the pressure out, this build up back in here. So I don't have the note memorized, but some of that change, open up.
Yeah.
You find most of your legends, if you watch their videos, you know, James Brown, guys like that. I don't know who your favorites are, but you'll see that when they get more into it, when the notes get higher and the band gets louder and the emotion gets bigger, so do their mouths.
Right. I do notice that. Yeah.
And whether they know they're doing it or not, you have to talk to them personally and find out. But but what you do know is it works.
Yeah.
That much you know.
That's
worldwide track records of success with big open mouths. So go ahead and sing that line again and really focus this time. You got to focus a little bit more technically at first.
Okay.
Just think I'm going to open my mouth when I sing the word change, like I'm going to take a big bite out of an apple.
Okay.
Change. Go ahead.
Okay. 'Cause there's a possibility that you look at me different with love. Ever since the first moment I spoke your name, from on I knew that by you standing in my life, it's for destined to change. 'Cause love.
How's that feel different?
Yeah, it came out.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
It came out. Yeah.
All right, cool. Now that you got that, now we go to the emotional reason you open your mouth. Tell me briefly what that means to you. Just that one line about the change.
It's saying to me, it's saying that, like, to be honest, the way I always took it, like the way that it's saying, like, it's destined. They're destined to be together. Because love is like, love conquers all. Like, that's what I get from it. That's the message I get from it. It's just love conquers all, and like, no matter what, like, we're destined to change. And
destined to change. Okay, you're destined to change. And you really want to convince her that you're destined to change. Is that right?
Right.
Okay, so when a singer and this goes to technique we won't talk too much about. Unfortunately, there's a word called high note, and you guys, did you learn basically your singing in Baptist church?
No, I just always sung to myself.
Oh, okay. Well, where do you get your riffs and everything? Where do you learn?
Just listening.
Okay, to other singers.
Yeah.
Did you
not trying to create it to my own
Okay.
way.
In these years, did you ever hear the word high note on a regular basis?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we all do. I don't know how. I noticed in the Baptist churches they don't talk about it as much as the legit music world, because the word high note has to do with what is written on a page. That's the real meaning. High and low simply means it's either higher on the staff or it's lower on the staff. So if I'm trying to communicate to you, I want you to sing from this note to this note, I might say, okay, this is your low note, and this is your high note. Well, our brains have a bad habit of interpreting that as these notes are on a vertical. Even though my piano is on a horizontal,
right.
I literally went left to right.
Oh, left to right is up, left is down, and right is up? Is that how?
In this case, on the piano. But in written music, it's down is actually down and up is actually up. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So where I'm heading is, in the human voice, there is no horizontal and there is no vertical. The vocal cords make their pitches from one position. They don't move positions. So what happens is the subconsciously in our brains we get this idea that high notes are up. And I saw your head go up a little bit.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that your larynx right here, which is the open and closer of your throat, when we think high notes, it goes up and it chokes us. And that was another one of your discomforts besides the jaw dropping.
Right.
It's like, God, I just can't hit the damn thing. So you look even higher. So here's the thing. The quickest way to change it, depending on how difficult the habit is, but I think for you right now in this context, we're going to change it the simplest possible way. We're going to change it emotionally. I want you to, when you say to the girl change, I want you to mean it like you're looking not down on her, but intense to her. A change.
Okay.
Yeah. Change. You're going. Things are going to change.
All right.
Think it that way.
Stand in my life is for destined to change, 'cause love.
Good, do that again.
Staring in my life is for destined to change, 'cause love.
How's that feel?
Yeah, that worked.
Now, as a singer, I can empathize on knowing how much easier that was for you. Yeah. But I'll tell you, there was another level of that as an audience that I liked, was I could feel more emotion. I could feel more of the meaning of what you were trying to say. And we did a hangout about decibel level gain and how engineers deal with that a little while back. By the way, I apologize to everybody. The hangouts haven't been every other week. There's been Grammy week, and there's been AES week for Maad, and I can't go to things like that anyway because of my. You can feel sorry for me now because of my back problems. Anyway, so it's been like I think it's been a month since we did a hangout. But I want to apologize. We'll try to get back on track. But anyway, we talked about how the engineers have to deal with that. And I actually talked to Khalik on one of his hangouts about it too. And he has a story. He probably, I don't know if I should repeat it or not, but he had a story about a very, 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 very famous singer that he was trying to record that was overloading everything. Yeah, I don't know if you know much about studio, but they have in the electronics world they have a bottom and a top, and if they go, they can only go so quiet. That's usually not too big of a problem for them, but they can't go too high without getting into what's called a distortion or
distort. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, a saturation level.
Yeah.
And so this singer was going a lot into the saturation level, and when he tried to put on compression, she could hear that, and she told him to take it off. So he was really stuck in a rock and a hard place because he wanted that great feel of hers, but he had a responsibility to make it sound good on a recording.
Right.
And if I recall correctly, his solution was a little bit kind of, he worked with her over time. They kind of fixed it. But anyway, when you did the change like that, you put out less decibel, and your engineer would have had less trouble with recording that. And so you get three values. You get the value of it feeling easier for you, which was you give you stamina, by the way. The value of you being able to put more motion in it, which everybody wants to hear, no matter what. And then you've got the advantage of the mixer not having to try to deal with the fact you've saturated the mic or his preamps.
Right.
And then having to cover up for you. So yeah, so there's a lot of in just a couple of small things we did, we created almost a whole new recording world for you.
Yeah, I learned a lot with I appreciate that. I learned a lot with them exercises really work, because like I just woke up, so
yeah, that's even harder, man.
Yes, I just woke up, so like when I start doing that, like all that backup was starting to come out, and I was like, wow. That's why I told you, I was like, I could feel it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. The warm-up exercises do clear out some of the mucus and bring it into saliva, so that you don't have to be going. You don't have to be doing that.
Yeah. They surely did.
The warm-ups will do it for you. And normally I would give a person at least 10. I'd give a person at least 15 minutes of warm-up, which we didn't do. So once you have a routine for yourself that works for you, and you kind of know how to manipulate it from day to day, then usually 15 minutes is good. If you're feeling great and you want to save your energy and it only took you 10 minutes, and you stop there. If you feel really tight still and you need to go 20, 25 minutes, whatever, it's the performance that matters, not so much the time you put into. I mean, if you don't put in the time, then the performance is going to suffer. So putting in that time is good. It's okay. It's not cheating. There's nothing, no bad side effects. So you need to go an extra 10 minutes to make sure your voice feels great when you perform. Yeah, man, can't live a better life than that. So I'm really into preparation for that reason, and that's one of the reasons producers sometimes will refer me or hire me directly to get their singers ready, so that preparation part is all done, so that when the tracking comes into place, that the only thing the producer's worrying about is the only thing you should be worrying about, and that's getting the greatest performer out of LB that time can give.
Right.
And be locked in, because that's what happens with the recording. Time is locked. That's once you guys master that, that's who you are to people.
Yeah.
All right, Ma, let's open it up to questions, man.
Ask me questions.
Well, I have a couple of questions.
Cool.
As far as I remembered you saying the high note is actually like how our, besides the keyboard, how our vocals are is like up and down, or but our things stay in the same. What is that you call? Is it we sing from the diaphragm, right?
Well, the literal explanation for that is you breathe in with the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the active muscle that sucks it comes down and it flattens out.
Right.
And when it does that, it pulls each lung that's attached to each side of it. It pulls it down like a bellows, and it forces it to suck. So the diaphragm is, if you will, the sucking muscle. It's now it's now it's no longer an active muscle. But it is in between the active muscles and the lungs. So now the active muscles, when you're actually singing, are called the upper costal muscles, or more simply, the upper abdominal muscles, and that's why you feel your gut tighten up when things are working really well.
Yeah.
And then that squeezes the diaphragm, and then that pushes on the lungs, and then that air comes up, and your vocal cords clamp at that point. They come together from an open position to a singing position, and so you feel the compression between the upper costal muscles and the muscles that hold your vocal cords together, and that's the feeling of support. But so that comment, it comes from the diaphragm, is true, but it's not very accurate.
Right. Okay.
Because air's got to start first. If you're not blowing any air, you're not singing.
Right.
Nothing's going to happen.
As far as vibratos, how does that come in place? I always wonder, how was I able to even do that?
Well, first of all, you were able to do that basically the same way you were able to learn how to talk, and the way you learn how to sing. You imitated. That's the number one thing. If a person's never heard of vibrato before or never paid any attention to it, then the first thing they have to do is get it in their head. They have to hear it. It has to be a musical sound for them.
Right. Pretty.
And but literally, the way the body does it is, when I go to a piano and I do a trill, in other words, two entirely different notes, the muscles in my fingers are changing the keys on the piano. Okay.
Right.
Now, that's how, on a piano, that's how pitches change. But in the human voice, the way pitches change is there's a small muscle that pulls on the vocal cord like the nut on a guitar neck, or not the nut, but the tuning post. Pulls on the vocal cord and stretches it. And when it does that, the pitch automatically goes higher. And on the other side of that, when the muscle releases, just like on the tuning post, then it'll go lower. So if you're doing da 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 da, your chords are stretching, releasing, stretching, releasing, stretching, releasing. Well, a vibrato is a subtle and very fast color of that same phenomenon. So I don't know. Sometimes a video is hard. Can you see my hand shaking? Can LB? Can you see it shaking?
Yeah.
Okay. So when it shakes real fast, that's vibrato.
Right.
When it goes real slow,
releasing,
that's a trill.
Okay.
But the function is the function of the body is exactly the same. It's the same muscle doing the same thing. It's just doing it at a much faster pace.
So at a faster pace, it'll be considered vibrato, slower trill.
Yeah, because when it goes that fast, you actually find that on the piano, I'm doing. If you have some clue, music theory will tell us that we have an interval of a minor second between those two notes.
Right.
Well, the vibrato is between those two intervals. So my piano just went sharp, back down, sharp, back down, but it never went all the way to that note. So we usually call that like a quarter step.
Okay.
And it's not exact, and it's not exact for everybody, and everybody's different. The speed of it's different. How sharp it is different. if your vibrato is below the pitch, if it's doing that, that can either be because the singer's hearing it that way, because some blues singers hear it that way, or it could be because the vocal cords are being overstressed, and even though they're trying to go sharp, they're being locked up by outer muscles and they can't do it, so they dip below. And that's a technical problem that has to be fixed with exercises and things like that.
All right.
Ma, do we have any outsiders today?
Yeah, we have to actually get out of here, but they're gonna, the outsiders, as you call them, are gonna have a seat. They're gonna have to wait.
Want to switch.
The outsiders are gonna have to wait. I gotta get out of here pretty soon. Okay, I've been working with LB for a while, right? Me and H-Bomb. And listening, what you just did with him. Here, can you see me? Okay.
I got you.
Like, it's funny when you bring somebody else in. It changes things. This is where I keep saying we need teamwork, because what you just did with him, it's made it to where when I go in there and work with him, I'll say the words that I'll be saying, he'll feel it. He'll know exactly where I'm at. I'll need him to sing from feel, and he'll get it. I won't have to sit there and be trying to explain stuff. We can just go to work. He'll sing something, and I'll say, okay, I need you to, like me putting the knife up to his neck. You know, we now have that memory, and and I'll tell him, look, that's based on me needing you to sing from that emotion, and then let your voice do its thing from that emotion naturally. Bruh, this makes it easier on me. I don't have to be in the studio trying to choke him, because of this right here. And so that this type of stuff is valuable. So
glad to be of service.
People like even with people, like when we sit back and we watch videos, I see what you mean about if you do a CD, they don't. It's still not it, because if he would have sat down and watched this, he doesn't get the experience. And you're catering this to him, and it now affects us. Our working relationship is going to be different. I don't have to force him to do anything. It's going to come from him, and I can just guide and work as a team using the same language and experiences. Whereas if he had watched a video, he wouldn't actually be experiencing it. And that right there is valuable, which is why I would want my singers to work with you to get the experience. I would actually want to be there too, so we get this thing going together.
Yeah, I like that too, by the way. All producers are welcome in my studio. I think that's terrific. I'll tell you, I don't know if we can X-rate this or what, but one of the a guy that worked under Quincy Jones, one of the guys that I give credit for being a forefather for me starting to move in this direction of my coaching, came to one of the sessions with the artist, and he said to her, I'll say bleep, because then everybody will know and won't have to worry about anything else. He said to her, he says, you have this kind of innocent come bleep me about you, and I want that to come through on the recording. And so they're very honest, the producers. They're very honest. It wasn't a pornographic movie or anything like that. He was just being very honest about what needed to happen. And the fact that I was there hearing him say that changed me forever.
Yes.
So when the producer's there, I am much better at helping you guys, because I get to hear these jewels, and then I get to, it's like right now there's the three of us, right? So I kind of sometimes see myself as a facilitator or interpreter, because I know LB's world really well, because I'm a singer, and that's all I do all day is help my voice and everybody else's. And then I have less understanding of Ma'at's world, because I don't spend as much time there, but I do have more understanding than most singers. So I get to bring you two together, like you were saying, and it's my love in my life now. It's what I love seeing happen.
Yeah, and just picture us being in the studio and me shaking Rob. He's bigger than me now. I mean, it ain't like I can take him, but but imagine me walking up and shaking him, doing something you would not do, and you never knowing that that's the type of stuff he would go through in a studio, and so you would never be preparing him. You know what I mean? You would never know, so you couldn't. So this right here, I'm telling you, bro, this is invaluable. People should go and do this as a team.
Yeah.
They could get the synergy going. Else we're fighting each other, or there's just a disconnect. Because even me sitting here listening to you doing that with Rob as I was off camera, I call him Rob, LoverBoii, but I was off camera watching, listening. I'm back there cheering, clapping for him as he would do certain things. Even though I'm not on camera with him, I'm knowing what he's gone through, and I can reference that. It's like we say we're here now, and I know it. It's a thing where we don't even have to say words. We know. Other people will be in the room wondering what we're doing or why we can work so well together, and this is where it comes from. Us doing this type of thing together, being on the battlefield, doing this in the battlefield, what you guys just did. Plus, if you see the crazy stuff I do, you know.
Oh, you've told me about some of it, man. I just like, I don't know, man. That's just not me. I'm glad it works, but.
I was about to have a young lady who's a singer come and stand in front of him when he was singing Love and he needed to be personal and sing it to her. I was about to have her come and stand in front of him and see if that would help. But of course, he's not always going to have that, you know.
You know, I think it's a good idea. You know, and I would say if an artist wanted to bring in their lover and we did that, I'd be all for it, you know. And believe me, I know about things like people having sex in a studio to get the real screams. Like that.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about that.
I know about stuff like that, so I'm no innocent kid here. I know.
Yeah,
I know what can go on in those deep, dark places.
Yeah, some of the real life stuff that goes on is not pretty or whatever. Well, pretty depending on what you call pretty, but. Yeah, it gets real in the studio, some of the stuff we do. And like you'll hear some of us talk about pissing singers off, or like I've did stuff to make a singer laugh. If you listen to like some of the recordings that I do, a lot of the stuff in the background is stuff that happened after the recording was supposed to stop. They might laugh or I just keep it running. I'd solo the vocal track to where you didn't hear the music. And I'd still be recording, and the person would practice singing it and just happen to sing it right in time, and I'd just place the vocals like, damn, that worked, and and I'd be like, no, it's done, you did it. And like, what do you mean? I took the part that you just did when you were practicing, when you thought you wasn't being recorded. Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, that's
subconscious stuff. That's what we're talking about. Is how powerful the subconscious is. It's kind of a Zen way of thinking about it.
And this was a good session. I like this session better than all of them so far because he's sitting there. He had no idea what he was getting into, and I'm sitting here feeling us connect. I'm like, oh man, when I go in the studio with him now, it's on. It's on. Last night we were working on lyrics. And he was surprised. I guess he doesn't think I could actually think and write. But him and H-Bomb were surprised that I came up with a lyric, a little lyric line. And, you know, he looking at me like, like, dude, I'm older than you and been writing. I was writing when I was in elementary writing, you know.
Well, not only that, Mod, you do more research than I know anybody I know.
If I'm going to teach, I need to know what I'm talking about. I need to research and I need to experiment, and then go to guys like you who've been there before me who can shorten the path, because a lot of what I did has taken a long time. No one was teaching me, and I end up with all these gray hairs by the time I'm, you know, I actually have a clue, and I only have so much longer.
Man, and I'm saying kudos to you, because a lot of people know they need to do it, but they don't do it.
Yeah. So, but thank you. We're gonna have to cut out. I wanted him to meet where H-Bomb. Are we gonna do a whole album with him or not? Do you know? Is he even worth it? You quit? Okay.
I hope so.
He's one of my favorite to work with. what I don't now. I'm gonna tell you what I don't like about this young man who looks like a semi. What's that singer name? Maxwell. Looking like a semi Maxwell. Oh, and that was a Music Soul Child's song that he was singing, Love. That was Music Soul Child's song. That song that album when he came out with it made me really go back in and start getting into lyrics and how to do musical vocals. It's actually what made me really dive into vocals that were musical, because it's like I think it's Ave Maria, or there's classical songs where if you get rid of the top line, the stuff in the background is a musical composition on its own that's awesome. And so that's what he was talking about, me telling him to make the ambience in the background musical, do this music in the background with vocals. But what I don't like about what he does is singing with, like, he's been practicing for how many years, auto-tune, singing with auto-tune?
Gosh, shoot, I don't know.
Since it came out.
Since it came out. He's been practicing singing with auto-tune, and the way I understand it is you have to sing off-pitch. It's playing an instrument is what it's doing when you sing with auto-tune. Here's a young man who when I met him, I said, oh, man, we got somebody who can do what the Temptations did. You know, like, oh, man. And then here comes auto-tune, and he's using auto-tune, and I'm sitting there, I got Anita Baker in the back of my head, you know, and he wants to go to auto-tune. I was hot. And so he used that so much that when I heard him sing without it, it was still affecting his voice. And I want that natural, raw emotion, I can really sing type thing from him. So
yeah, I think auto-tune is a cool, just like phase shifting a guitar or something. It's a cool effect sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's why I use it.
But it in itself cannot produce an emotion.
Right. I would play, he would sing, we would put auto-tune on it, and the emotion would go away. And that blew me away.
It can actually take it out too. So can Melodyne.
Yeah, exactly. And so I've done stuff with singers who are much less talented than he, and I feel the emotion, and it has nothing to do with the skills that he has. You know, it let me know that it wasn't a simple skill thing, because he would slay these singers. I mean, slay. Yeah. But I would play their song over and over and over again because of the way it made me feel. And again, that's just a slap. This dude is super talented.
One of our first hangouts, I went as far as saying that, you know, really, I think most producers feel that it's 80% emotion and 20%, you know, technique or sonic. And then I can't remember the name of the famous producer, but you posted something. I was listening to him, and he went as far as 90% emotion. I think he was on Pensado's place. Actually, I don't think it was you that pointed me. There was somebody else. He was on Pensado's group. And he went as far as to say a successful vocal is 90% emotion and 10% technique.
All I can say is what I always say is, if we're at a funeral and a woman is crying about her dead child, no matter what pitch she hits, you feel that, and you might break down and start crying. So I understand how music plays a part, you know, doing music with your vocals, and I understand how pitch and all that, like, you can affect someone's emotion with pitch, but that emotion is just king. When I'm sitting here listening to lesser singers hit me emotionally, and he would be singing with auto-tune, and it'd be this cool little thing. It's like, oh, that's cool, oh, that's dope, but I'm not caught into the emotion. And then if I sit down and write out what he's saying, it's like, hold on, this dude is intelligent. Oh, that's dope. Like, he's singing some cool stuff. Wait, how come I'm not feeling this? And so that's been my issue with him. Got issues with you, man.
Well, I can see you two have issues. But I'm always, you know, I'm always there for you, Ma, to help.
Again, thank you. Is there anything now that you've met Brad?
I asked the questions pretty much that I was trying to get an answer to, but it was nice to meet you. I appreciate the help. Yeah. I appreciate the advice. And that's
welcome.
That was really helpful, and I really needed to know that. Now I do look at it different. I do look at it different. I will use those tools.
Cool.
And I got the knife on the side. Don't worry. Okay. Do you want to do one in 2 weeks? When do you want to do the next one?
Yeah, let's do it in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just try to keep this pace up. You know, the Grammy, the first round voting is where it's so hectic. You got like 2,000 or 3,000 submissions to try to listen to, which of course is is impossible for me. But you feel a responsibility, you know, to listen to as many people. Plus, I have 4 submissions myself that I want people to listen to. So, but now the second round is all about it coming down to the top 4, the nominees. So things will calm down. And then when the top 4 are nominated, then they're going to be, you know, marketing their stuff and asking us to listen to us. But that still won't take anywhere near as much time as this season, you know, this part of the season did. So.
Is your back doing any better?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you very much for asking. They did what's called a rhizotomy on it, and I had a couple of pain-free days, and so I think I got a little overexcited and did too much. So it kind of came back, but I'm noticing now that I've had a couple of days to realize I did too much. It's, you know, we've been sitting here an hour and a half now, and I don't feel too bad. So it's getting better. Thank you.
Okay. And lastly, is there anything you can think of to not for us to go over, but to tell him or any of the other singers to think about before they get into the booth?
Yeah. When I first opened up the Hangout, did I say anything about this fellow who was saying that he was proud because he did the whole recording himself?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I heard you.
Okay.
Cause you said.
Okay. I just want to again say to singers and producers, you guys are our necessary team. Whether I'm there or not, I'm not a big advocate for singers producing their own vocals and trying to say, hey, well, I did it all myself, you know, so I'm really cool. I really don't think I know a lot of people are doing that now because of home studios, and one of the producers on one of the Hangouts earlier mentioned he thought it was kind of he actually used the word what a lot of people in the industry are called egotists. Is the only one I'm coming up with now. There's another word that he used, but basically like saying, hey, well, I did it all myself, so I'm cooler than if I have a team. Well, if you're 1 in a billion and you can pull that off and you want to believe that that's true, you know, go for it. But I think if you really want to succeed, both producer and singer, and I know a lot of singers are calling themselves producers, it's not working, man. I'm listening to your stuff. Everybody's listening to your stuff on YouTube, and it's dry. It doesn't have the feel. There's a very, very good reason there's always been producers in the record industry. And as far as I'm concerned, as far as the success of the record industry is concerned, it's always going to be there. And you're not wasting your time doing self-recording, but only do that for rehearsal. When it's time to show yourself to an audience, get a producer, even if you don't think he's the greatest guy on the planet. He's better than you are. I can almost guarantee it.
Okay. All right. On that note, we'll go ahead and
all right, see you in 2 weeks, buddy.
You know what? I'm supposed to be down there on the 7th. Khalik has that seminar. Matter of fact, I'm supposed to be there this Tuesday, whatever day that is, and then on the 7th and possibly the 8th. For Khalik Glover's seminar, I'm going to be doing a presentation then, and so is Dre the Most. Are you going to be a part of Khalik's seminar, or are you going to join?
I guess he didn't know how to reach me because I never heard from him about it.
Okay, I'm asking because he was saying he wanted you to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll.
Do you know his email address?
No, I could get it to you though. I could get it in text message it.
Yeah, text that to me, and I'll just give him a second chance. I mean, it's probably all booked up and done, but who knows?
Okay, I'll let him know, and I'll get that to you.
Okay, buddy.
All right,
So,
bro.
yeah, so if you want to drop by Tuesday, you know, if you're in town or whatever, let me know.
All right. Say hello to the wife.
All right, you bet. Thanks, buddy.
Bro. Thank you. All right, we're out.